Good morning, everybody. This is Lorraine Ball.
And Jennifer Denny.
And this morning, we're going to talk about something that's either my favorite topic or my least favorite topic.
Really? I feel like this is your favorite topic, if I was guessing.
We're going to talk about email. And I want to start with, that whole, you remember the movie, You've Got Mail?
Oh, yeah, of course.
But do you remember those days when you logged into your computer and there was a thing that said, oh, you have a new email message, and you actually got excited?
Oh, yeah. Now I'm like, oh my God. I have like so many emails.
Yeah, they don't hold the same appeal. But you know what? Email marketing still works.
Absolutely. Because what is one of the first things you open in the beginning of the day?
Mhm,
Your email.
mhm.
And all day long, your email.
And so as a marketer, I love and hate it because it is definitely still one of the most effective ways to get in front of customers. And on the other hand, oh my God, my inbox is like full.
I think you have to think about email and what you're sending and how often and all those logistics that, as we would probably call it spam. If you
Mhm.
just if you think somebody wants an email from you every 2 days, I'm sorry. Probably
No,
not.
I watch those rhythms, and the whole delivery schedule is a topic for a different day, because
Oh,
today what I
yeah.
really want to talk about is just what does it look like when it gets into your inbox?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing I think about is email subject lines.
Hmm.
Like, tell us about that.
Okay, so you have a few seconds, because your email inbox is that ultimate scroll, and you either jump off the page or you don't. And so I really I actually really encourage people to think about their subject lines and spend almost as much time refining it as they do the whole newsletter, because you blow that, you're done.
Exactly. I mean, that goes to the metrics. If they don't even open the email, then it doesn't even matter what the rest of it looks like.
Absolutely. So, a couple of my favorite tricks. Number one, it sounds cheesy, but personalization. A lot of the email marketing tools, and I'm a constant contact girl, full
Yeah.
disclosure,
Yeah.
lets you put, if you have the person's first name in the subject line. It sounds cheesy, but we are pre wired. Our mothers said our names over and over and over again. And so we're pre wired to respond when we hear our name, when we see our name. And
That's just psychology 101.
it really is. So, number one, personalize, add the person's name.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, you only have a few characters, so don't waste them. Like today's news from, okay, let's be honest. If the email is showing up in my inbox, I know it's today's news. Okay. And because I can see who it's coming from, I already know who it's coming from. So
Right.
you've now wasted all of those characters, and I'm moving on.
Get to the point sooner.
Mhm. And my other thing is, though, questions used to be really popular. You
Yeah.
know, are you making enough of this? Do you want more of that? These days, a journalist told me that these days we're so overwhelmed by questions. We just want answers.
Hmm.
So rewrite your questions kind of Jeopardy style. Instead
Yeah.
of, do you want to know how? Here's how.
Here's
Here's
how.
why. Numbers still work in subject lines.
Yeah.
Um, you know, um,
I,
little, no, go ahead.
I was just, I start thinking of things that you shouldn't put in your subject line.
Okay. What are some of your favorite let's not put in the
Oh,
subject
well,
line?
if you want to make it into the inbox, you need to avoid things like free, giveaway, like, Google, email box, and some of these other ones. You're not even going to make it to the inbox.
And when I first started seeing that list of words that are like absolute no-nos, I was like, but that's a good word. but it's been overused by spammers, and so you really need to kind of avoid that. But okay, let's assume you get into the inbox.
Yeah.
And now the email opens. What's your first reaction when you see either display images and there's a lot of blank boxes? Do you open them? Let's start with
No.
you as the user.
I probably do, because honestly, if the subject line got me to open it, like that's a big step, because I do a lot of deleting from right there. And so once I've opened it, I'm a little annoyed by big blocks, big design, things like that. Like I'm not, I'd rather it be smaller and kind of get to the meat and chunk of it. That's my opinion.
So you're not on you. Well, you and I are probably a smaller percentage of the population. A lot of people have their images turned on all the time, so they don't see that. But there is a significant group of people like us. Typically, we tend to be a little more techy, and we turn off the images because it allows the emails to load quickly.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to put images, and I love a pretty picture in an email if it's relevant.
Right.
But if you're going to do it, make sure you put a title and a description that tells me what that image is so that I can decide if I want to look at it or not.
You mean I shouldn't just like pull in like this random like picture and not
and call it JPEG 1? Yeah, that's always really helpful. It's helpful on web. It's helpful in email. No, you want to make sure that you do that. But you also want to make sure that that picture is attractive and fun, or whatever it's supposed to be, but contains no relevant information. So like a lot of times I'll get an event invitation that's completely blank until I display the picture.
Yes. Can't do that.
Anything that's important needs to be in text.
Okay. So that's design tip, maybe, number 1 in the inbox, got to be in text.
Anything that's relevant's got to be in text. Number 2, let's not overdo the text. You cannot treat your email as if it's the last chance to talk to these people.
Yeah.
Don't send me an email with 9 subjects.
I know. I see this and I'm like, I know, like that's too much. Like I ain't got time for that.
No. And so either shorten them up so they're links, and you're like, but if I don't put all the text there, they won't read it. Then they don't care.
Correct. You did not entice them enough to want to click through to the website, which should be your ultimate goal, if you didn't have a great design, great messaging, yada, yada.
Absolutely. So think little bites. The purpose of your email newsletter is either, and you can have either one, either to tell one story completely, because that's how you want people to view it, or to drive traffic where people can find information on lots of different topics. But either way, you got about 20 lines. Tops.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think in my opinion, maybe because I come from the ads world, I feel like I want to get them to the website so that I can remarket to them and, finish the funnel of,
Absolutely. I mean, and like you, I'm a marketer. I want to make sure that people take the next step. But there are times that you are sending an email that is information based, and it is important that they get the information. Send it as a single communication. Don't treat it like a landing page. Don't clutter it up with a lot of other stuff.
Right.
And one call to action at the bottom.
One.
Now, you can, if you have an email, it's got short little blurbs, with multiple articles, you can do 3 little buttons. If it's a sentence or a paragraph button, but 3 buttons, that's like your top.
Yeah.
I mean, that, 3 link. Well, but I've got all this stuff. Then send another email.
Right. So you've got 20 lines. What should be the guidelines of those 20 lines? What's your goal?
So from a visual design standpoint, I want you to break it up. I want headers and subheads just like I do, because that way people can skim.
They scroll.
They
Everybody
scroll.
scrolls.
You want to have at least one call to action, one button in the top. I used to say it's top third. Now with cell phones, it might even be a little higher up. But I should open that email, have an offer presented to me almost right away, so I
Yep.
can see it on my phone. And
Yep.
then if I don't want that, I can scroll down and do more. But if your email is really supposed to be action based, let's get that first CTA in the top third.
Yep.
Don't be afraid of white space. And by white, I don't mean it has to be white. We play a lot with, I do white and gray and white and a very light gray. And if you look at the email, it almost looks like it's one color. But when you really look close, you're like, oh, that's actually two-tone. And so each paragraph is broken up. So it really helps pull the eye to the next section.
That is design right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is design.
Yeah, it's really subtle, but it helps people. But at the same time, there's a feeling of air. There was a time that people designed newsletters so that they looked like printed newsletters with sidebars. And just like sidebars have gone away in web,
Yep.
they go away in
email.
Your email has to be mobile responsive. So if you do have two things side by side, which one's going to go on top and mobile? Don't just make them smaller, because that's annoying.
How do you feel about when people try to add like video to their email?
There's a lot of research that says that video is very powerful. People really like it. If you tell people in the subject line that there is a video, the challenge is that most email tools, when you put the video in, the delivery actually launches another app. The video isn't really in the email. And so
that's a techie challenge. Like you might not get the video because of all kinds of reasons.
Yeah. And that time delay. And if I'm just reading emails, so I think it's worth, I think you want to have some other meat. So in case I go to do that and it doesn't load correctly, I still get something. But the research does show that if you can get it in there and it's short, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll link to the video and I'll tell people this is a 2-minute video. This is a 5-minute video, because now they know what they're committing to.
Right. Like if I open up a video and it's 15 minutes long and I'm like, God, no, I don't have time for this.
Yeah. And now I'm annoyed now because I feel sucker punched.
Yeah. So we've talked about the subject email. If you don't get past that, you're not even going to get them to open it. You talk about the design, making sure that, if you have an image, it's smaller and, they can get to the 20 lines. That's it. You talk about one call to action. Is there anything else? Oh, and obviously the difference in colors can make a big difference in the design. Is there any other tips that you would think about in the design?
Something else. And okay, this is geeky design a little bit, but your font choice. And I'm going to say, and really font choice and color choice, you get 2 of each, not 5. I know you've got all those font choices. Yeah, but don't use them all.
Not all the platforms have a lot of font choices.
But even so, people seem to go crazy. Don't do it. Keep it simple. Pick 2. I love a good serif font, the ones with the little curls at the end, like a Times Roman or Garamond, if you're a more traditional business for your headlines. In print, you can use that on the page. Email and web, you have to go with a sans serif because the little curls just really make it harder to read. So if you're a modern business, go sans serif all the way. Arial, Helvetica, Tahoma, Verdana. But if you want to create a little bit of more of an authoritative feel and it matches your brand, then do your headlines in a Times or a Garamond or a Century book, something like that. That really, yeah. But I can. Oh, there's Troy. Good morning, Troy. Let's see what you got. Isn't there a strict few fonts you have to stick to in order for your email? So that has grown a lot. That it used to be you had to just use Times, Arial, Tahoma. You have a little more flexibility now with Google fonts. You still, if you really want your email to look exactly the way it looks in your computer, then yeah, you should use the narrower group of fonts. But the rules are definitely loosening up a little bit, just because everybody's computer has more fonts, and that's really how it works.
Technology.
If I have the font on my computer, I'm going to see it the way that you see it. Great question. Good morning, Troy. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I mean, I really, at the end of the day, like, if you don't pay attention to these design elements, you're not going to get your email read. You're not going to get it open, and so you might as well not even do it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I could talk about this forever, but I think we need to be done.
Yeah, it's coming up on our limit of time attention span.
But I'm going to say, if people want to learn more, I'm going to be teaching a full hour session on this with visuals and everything on November 16th.
You also, at the digitaltoolbox.club, have an excellent 50 ways in order to build your email list. And so I think that is an excellent tool that you have as well.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and put a link to that too in the show notes after this is all over.
All right. Well, take care, guys.
Well, before you run off, we got a hot topic next week.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited for this one. We are going to talk about there is a huge update coming out for Facebook. Like, you're going to want to hear this. If you haven't already heard it, it is a big update. So looks like Troy has email sequences. That could be an entire show in itself, just to talk about sequences, automation of emails.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll do a whole session on that, but next week. We're going to talk about Facebook and names and the metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you then. Bye.